In a quiet village nestled between towering hills and endless fields, a boy named Kian was born under a sky full of lightning. Some elders whispered that such a storm at birth marked a life destined for greatness or destruction. His mother believed in the former. His father feared the latter. Kian grew up poor, but not miserable. He was barefoot most days, chasing clouds with a stick in his hand and fire in his heart. He had an unusual curiosity that made him wander into places others feared. While other boys played by the river, Kian climbed the tallest trees and whispered to the wind. "Tell me your secrets," he would say, and sometimes it felt like the wind whispered back. When he turned 14, his father died. A simple accident, a fall while fixing a roof. But the absence was thunderous. His mother aged 10 years in a week, and Kian, once the wild boy, turned inward. He stopped speaking to the wind. He stopped speaking much at all. A month later, while cutting wood, Kian found a feather. Not like any bird he knew. It shimmered with hints of gold, impossibly light yet strong enough not to bend. The villagers said it was a sign, but no one knew of what. Kian carried the feather everywhere. It didn't do anything magical. Not at first, but he felt calmer with it, more certain, as if it reminded him of something deep inside he had forgotten. Years passed. Kian took work wherever he could, carrying bricks, planting rice, cleaning stables, but something inside him always pulled toward more. He couldn't explain it. Just a voice, soft but insistent. Keep moving. At 18, Kian left the village with nothing but a small bag and the golden feather. He walked for days, begging for water, sleeping under trees. In the capital city, he found work as a street cleaner. The days were long, but Kian never complained. He studied people, how they walked, how they talked, how they dressed. He saved every coin. Every night, he spoke to the feather. "What now?" he'd ask. The feather never answered, but the asking kept him moving. One evening, while sweeping outside a cafe, Kian saw a man yelling at a waiter. The waiter trembled, about to cry. Kian stepped in, not angrily, just firmly. "He's doing his best. Sit down or leave." The man was stunned. Nobody talked back to him. He owned 3 companies. But something in Kian's eyes, calm and fearless, made him back down. That moment changed everything. The waiter, grateful, told the cafe owner what had happened. The owner, curious, invited Kian in. They talked. The owner learned that Kian could read, write, and calculate faster than most. Within weeks, Kian had a job behind the counter. Months later, he was managing inventory. A year later, he was running the cafe. But he wasn't done. He saved every coin. He studied business at night in libraries. He taught himself English. He learned how banks work, how to pitch investors, how to tell a story with numbers. The feather stayed with him, still unchanged, still light. At 25, Kian opened his first cafe, then a second, then a chain. He was no longer the barefoot boy. He wore crisp shirts, made deals, and gave talks at schools. Yet he kept the feather in his pocket. People noticed, but no one ever dared to ask why. One evening at a leadership seminar, someone finally did. "A feather?" the moderator asked, smiling. "What's that about?" Kian stood quiet for a second, then said, "When I was young, I believed I needed wings to fly. One day I found this. I thought it would give me power, but it didn't, not directly. It just reminded me that flight begins with belief. The feather weighs nothing, but carrying it all these years taught me how to carry myself." The room was silent. He continued, "Life doesn't give you signs. It gives you moments. Tiny, feather-light moments that seem meaningless at first, until they shape everything. The world waits for us to decide who we are. I wasn't born lucky. I wasn't born rich. I was born curious. And that's what saved me." Kian sat down to a standing ovation. But that wasn't the end. He went back to his village, built a library, set up scholarships. He spoke to kids the way no one had ever spoken to him. He told them the truth, that dreams aren't lightning bolts, they're sparks. And you have to protect the spark until it becomes a flame. The feather never changed. But Kian had, and that was the point. Moral, what you carry isn't always what saves you. Sometimes it's the reminder that you're strong enough to carry anything.